Learning and knowing your 2-5-1s in all keys is an important step to take. You want to get to that point where you can hear 2-5-1s easily in jazz recordings, but equally you see a chart and you can instantly recognize the 2-5-1s and place what key they're from. For me, it can really transform your experience of learning standards and is something you want to work at. Now, the 2-5-1 can appear in many different ways, many different forms. The fully fledged 2-5-1, here each chord gets a bar. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. The quick 2-5, where the 2 and the 5 get half a bar each. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. A 2-5 with no 1, like this D minor 7 and G7. D minor 7, G7, that's a 2-5 in the key of C. And finally, with the tritone substitution, like this. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Which also might appear like this, where you get the tritones too as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, one method people often use to practice 2-5-1s in all keys is just to practice a 2-5-1 going in a cycle of fourths. Now, that is a great way to do it, but I wanted to present a different way that you could do it today, which I think is quite common in tunes also, which is practicing your 2-5-1s moving in tones. So rather than practicing in every key here, we are going to practice in 6 keys, because if I wrote out the 12 tones that we get, we're going to do it in the key of C, then we're going to go down a tone and do a 2-5-1 in B flat, then in A flat, and then in G flat, and then in E, and then in D, and then we'd be back to C. So I'm going to show you some exercises that I think will really help you get to know your 2-5-1s really well. We're going to do the 2-5-1 in the normal sort of standard way it's presented, with the quick 2-5, without the 1, and then with the tritone and the tritones 2. What this will help you do, if you practice this, it will help you internalize the sound of the 2-5-1 and get more familiar with that and be able to recognize it when you listen to jazz. But most importantly, you'll get used to what a 2-5-1 is in those 6 keys. Takes away half the keys, so it's less to remember, so it should help. So let's start with exercise 1. Now, what we're going to do here, we're going to practice the fully fledged 2-5-1, a bar on each chord, and go down a tone each time until we get back to C. So here we go. So here's the 2-5-1 in C, D minor 7, G7, C major 7. Now, if we make that one chord, that C major 7, a minor 7, it can become our 2 chord of the key a tone beneath. So then we're going to go C minor 7, F7, B flat major 7. Now if I play that line again, hopefully you can hear how it's the same progression, just moving down. D minor 7, there it is in C, 2, 3, 4. In B flat, same thing. Now let's make that a minor chord. So in our next key, we need to go down to the key of A flat, because we're coming from B flat. Here you go, B flat minor 7, E flat 7, A flat major 7, 2-5-1 and A flat. Make that A flat minor 7 to D flat 7, G flat major 7. That's our 2-5-1 in G flat major. Now we could obviously stay down here, but I'm going to move up here. F sharp minor 7, which is the 2 of E major, B7, E major, E minor 7, A7 to the key of D. And then we're back to where we started, D minor 7, G7, C major 7. So that last exercise is the way the 2-5-1 often presents itself. It's kind of default way of being played. Exercise 2, what we're going to do now is work with the quick 2-5, so we get less time on the 2 and the 5. We get half a bar on each chord rather than a bar, and then we get the bar of the 1 chord. So we're going to go quick 2-5 in C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Quick 2-5 in B flat, going down, 2, 3, 4. Quick 2-5 in A flat, quick 2-5 in G flat, quick 2-5 in E, quick 2-5 in D, quick 2-5 in C. Back to where we started. Now played with rhythm, you know. And so on. Hopefully you recognise that sound from standards. Exercise 3, bye bye 1. Now quite often in jazz standards, you will just have your normal 2-5-1 like we've looked at so far. But sometimes we won't get that resolution to the 1 chord, and that resolution will be postponed. It's still like a 2-5-1 in C, but it just hasn't got the 1. It's still like the 2 and the 5, say from C, but it's just missing that resolution to 1. And this is often used in standards to create movement up and down. In this next example, we're going to take out the 1 chord. Now, it sounds a bit strange, but this is a common way for 2 5s to be able to be played. And even though the 1 chord's not there, you need to be able to place these as 2 5s and part of that 2 5 1. So you'd recognize D minor 7 and G7 as being from the key of C. You'd recognize C minor 7 and F7 from B flat. You'd recognize B flat minor to E flat from the key of A flat. You'd recognize A flat minor, D flat from G flat. You'd recognize F sharp minor, B7 from E, E minor 7 and A7 from D, and then back to where we started. Let's play through it. Tons of quick movement. What that does without the 1, it still conveys the sense of key movement, but without the 1 chord, which is interesting. Exercise 4 is to practice the 2 5 1 going down in tones, but with a tritone sub for the dominant chord, for the 5 chord. Now this is probably the most common chord substitution used in jazz. Now I'm not going to get into what a tritone is today. I've made videos on that. I'll put links in the description to those. I've got 3 videos in total, I think, that break down all of that. So check that out if you need to learn what a tritone is. But here is the practice progression. 2 5 1, but with the tritones. So let's play through this. So 2 5 1 in C with the tritone, D minor 7, D flat 7, C. Then in B flat, and then in A flat major, then in G flat major, and then in E, and then in D, and back to C. Right. Gives a nice sense of fall into the 1 chord, I think. So it's a fruitier way of playing this progression, a bit more interesting. But what it does give us is this in the bass, a chromatically descending bass line. So if you see that, you've probably got a tritone sub in the 2 5 1. And the second half of exercise 4 is to have the 2 of the tritone. Let's go down through our 6 keys using this progression. So C first, 2, 3, 4. There it is. B flat, A flat major, G flat major, E major, D major, back to C. Exercise 5 I'm not going to play through, but it's the other 6 remaining keys, just in case you didn't know what the 2 5 1s were in those keys. Then I've put that on there for you for reference, so you can apply the same things to those 6 keys. So I hope you managed to follow along okay. I think I'll make a suggestion here. What you could do is part of your rhythm guitar practice, use these exercises in these 6 keys, then do the other 6 keys and do the same thing to them. Something else you want to be able to do is really understand the sound of the 2 5 1. You know, hopefully from the result of this practice, you really start to internalize the sound of those chord movements, and then you can hear it in jazz recording. A good activity is to open up your real book at a random standard and just try and spot any of these things. Now, just remember, it doesn't always come presented in that vanilla, boring way like exercise 1. It can come up in those other ways as suggested today. And hopefully this deliberate practice of this very iconic and important progression will help you spot these things when you're learning jazz standards. I hope you gained some value from these exercises today. If you have, please hit that like button. I'll put up a link to 2 videos related to today's video that would help your learning in regards to this area of jazz knowledge, if you like, and that's my lesson on the 2 5 1 in all keys, and also my lesson on the tritone. Well, there's several lessons on the tritone. Anyway, thank you for tuning in. Leave me a comment if you've got any questions about today's lesson. If you're new here, jazz guitar lessons every Wednesday and every Saturday. Until next time, you take care.